Episode 2, Mitochondrial Failure, the First Hallmark of Aging. Hey, it is Adam Sewell, MD. In this episode, we're going to take a deep dive into the first and most important driver of biological aging, which is mitochondrial decline. If you understand this one system, everything else in the longevity world becomes easier to understand, because almost every symptom of aging can be traced back in one way or another to mitochondrial dysfunction. By the end of this episode, you will see exactly why improving mitochondrial health is the #1 step in reversing biological age by 20 to 30 years, and why no other therapy, no matter how trendy it is, can overcome poor mitochondrial function. Let us begin. Section 1, what mitochondria really do? Most people describe mitochondria as the power plants of the cell because they produce adenosine triphosphate. That description is technically correct, but clinically incomplete. Mitochondria are much more than energy producers. They are sensors, decision makers, and signal generators that influence cell survival, inflammation, hormone response, and even DNA methylation patterns. Mitochondria constantly monitor nutrient availability, oxygen levels, inflammation, and stress signals. Based on what they detect, they determine whether a cell divides, repairs itself, enters senescence, or undergoes programmed cell death. In the context of aging, this means that mitochondria act as the governors of lifespan. When the mitochondrial network is healthy, the cell stays flexible, energetic, and capable of repair. When mitochondria decline, the entire system begins to fail. There is an excellent explanation of this in the Hallmarks of Aging paper published by Carlos Lopez Otin and colleagues in the journal Cell in 2013. They list mitochondrial dysfunction as one of the core irreversible drivers of aging because of its influence on reactive oxygen species, metabolic signaling, and apoptotic control. Section 2, how mitochondria fail with age. As patients age, mitochondrial function declines for several reasons. The first is mitochondrial DNA damage. Mitochondrial DNA has no protective histones and limited repair capacity, which makes it vulnerable to mutations from oxidative stress, toxins, infections, and chronic inflammation. As these mutations accumulate, the electron transport chain becomes less efficient. The second reason is impaired mitophagy. Mitophagy is the process that clears out damaged mitochondria. It depends on two key proteins, PINK1 and parkin. With age, PINK1 and parkin signaling declines. Damaged mitochondria accumulate. They produce less adenosine triphosphate and more reactive oxygen species. This creates a feedback loop where oxidative stress damages neighboring mitochondria and the cell as a whole slows down. The third reason is increased reactive oxygen species production. In a young cell, reactive oxygen species are produced in small, controlled amounts and act as signaling molecules. In older cells, the mitochondria leak excessive reactive oxygen species. This damages lipids, proteins, DNA, and nuclear structures. Over time, this drives chronic inflammation, senescence, and eventual cell death. Clinically, this shows up as fatigue, exercise intolerance, delayed healing, chronic pain, heat and cold sensitivity, brain fog, and decreased resilience to psychological or physical stress. If a patient gets sick and stays sick for weeks, or if they say things like, "I can no longer recover the way I used to," you are looking at mitochondrial dysfunction. Section 3, the mitochondrial energy crisis in aging. To understand how central this is, consider the following. The average cell produces its own body weight in adenosine triphosphate every single day. Mitochondria are continually turning over massive amounts of energy, and any drop in that production is felt instantly. The brain is especially sensitive because neurons have enormous energy demands and limited ability to switch to alternative fuel sources. This is why mitochondrial dysfunction shows up early in the brain. Patients complain of poor concentration, difficulty finding words, short-term memory problems, and mental fatigue after tasks that used to feel effortless. Skeletal muscle is the next place this shows up. Low mitochondrial density causes early lactic acid buildup, reduced endurance, and loss of muscle mass. This is not just a cosmetic issue. Muscle mass is one of the strongest predictors of longevity because muscle protects against insulin resistance, frailty, falls, and bone loss. In cardiac tissue, mitochondrial decline contributes to reduced exercise tolerance and increased vulnerability to heart failure. This is why so many longevity protocols, no matter how different they appear on the surface, all converge on improving mitochondrial function. Ketosis improves it. Exercise improves it. Sauna improves it. Cold exposure improves it. Urolithin A improves it. Nicotinamide adenine nucleotide improves it. Peptides improve it. Methylene blue improves it. One of the only major treatments that does not improve mitochondrial function is doing nothing. Section 4. The molecular biology of mitochondrial aging. There are 3 molecular pathways that matter most in understanding mitochondrial aging. The first is the pink-1-Parkin pathway. This pathway identifies damaged mitochondria and tags them for recycling. When this pathway slows down with age, cells accumulate dysfunctional mitochondria. This is one of the earliest and most reversible steps in aging. When we use urolithin A or exercise to stimulate mitophagy, this pathway reactivates and the mitochondrial network rejuvenates. The second pathway is nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide depletion. Nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide is essential for energy production and DNA repair. Levels of nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide drop by as much as 50% between the ages of 40 and 60. This decline impairs sirtuin activity, reduces mitochondrial biogenesis, and slows DNA repair. Research from Shinichiro Imai and others has shown that boosting nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide can restore mitochondrial function in multiple tissues. The third pathway is reactive oxygen species signaling. Mild reactive oxygen species signaling is beneficial and triggers adaptation. Excessive reactive oxygen species overwhelms antioxidant defenses and damages components of the electron transport chain. That damage then increases reactive oxygen species production even more, creating a self-amplifying loop. The clinical point is this: these pathways do not change in isolation. Nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide depletion increases reactive oxygen stress. Reactive oxygen stress damages pink-1 and Parkin. Impaired mitophagy leads to more mitochondrial DNA mutations, which generate more reactive oxygen species. By the time a patient is in their 60s, this loop may be running unchecked. Section 5. How mitochondrial decline alters every longevity biomarker. One of the reasons mitochondrial restoration is the first step in reversing biological age is because mitochondrial function influences almost every biological aging marker. DNA methylation age is strongly correlated with mitochondrial function. In other words, when mitochondria deteriorate, DNA methylation patterns drift toward an older profile. This was demonstrated in research published by Martin Picard, showing that mitochondrial stress can alter nuclear epigenetic regulation. Glycan age is also influenced by inflammation and mitochondrial signaling. Glycans become more inflammatory when the body shifts toward a catabolic low-energy state. Telomere length, while not the strongest aging marker, is also influenced by oxidative stress from dysfunctional mitochondria. Even functional outputs such as VO2 max, grip strength, and insulin sensitivity are deeply tied to mitochondrial number and efficiency. If you improve mitochondrial function first, all of these markers begin to improve in parallel. Section 6. Diagnosing mitochondrial dysfunction in clinical practice. There is no single lab test that says this patient has mitochondrial failure. Instead, you diagnose it through a combination of symptoms, physical performance, and laboratory clues. Symptoms include fatigue, exercise intolerance, slow recovery from stress, brain fog, thermal sensitivity, dizziness, and poor sleep. Physical indicators include reduced VO2 max, low muscle endurance, low grip strength, a slow gait speed, and increased resting heart rate. Laboratory clues include elevated lactate, altered carnitine profiles, elevated high sensitivity, C-reactive protein, low DHEA sulfate, chronic low vitamin D, and signs of impaired beta oxidation on an organic acid test. On more advanced testing, you may see a reduced ATP ratio, elevated oxidative stress markers, and abnormalities in mitochondrial membrane potential. But long before any lab becomes abnormal, the patient has already felt the decline. That is why mitochondrial evaluation begins with the clinical story. Section 7. Why mitochondria decline faster today than in past generations. Modern lifestyle accelerates mitochondrial aging. Constant high carbohydrate intake leads to metabolic inflexibility. Sedentary behavior reduces mitochondrial biogenesis. Environmental toxins damage mitochondrial DNA. Chronic psychological stress elevates cortisol, which impairs mitochondrial signaling. Poor sleep reduces growth hormone secretion, which slows mitochondrial repair. Overuse of certain medications, especially statins without coenzyme Q10 supplementation, can impair mitochondrial function. Even chronic blue light exposure and circadian disruption slow mitochondrial repair. In other words, our modern environment pushes the mitochondrial network into decline decades earlier than in previous generations. That is one of the reasons you see so many patients in their 30s and 40s presenting with symptoms that used to be associated with their 60s. Section 8. Why mitochondrial restoration is mandatory for reversing biological age. You cannot reverse biological age without restoring mitochondrial function. If mitochondria do not work, the patient cannot build muscle, cannot clear senescent cells effectively, cannot repair tissues, cannot regulate inflammation, and cannot detoxify. They will be tired, inflamed, depressed, and physiologically stuck. When you improve mitochondrial function, the opposite happens. Patients gain energy, mood, resilience, and endurance. Their inflammation drops, their cognition improves, their joints recover faster, their metabolism becomes more flexible, their stress tolerance increases, their DNA methylation age drops. This is why in almost every protocol seeking a 20 to 30 year biological reversal, the mitochondrial component is placed first. Section 9, what comes next? In the next episode, we're going to talk about how to actually restore mitochondrial function in the real world. We will go deep into urolithin A, nicotinamide adenine, dinucleotide, mitochondrial peptides, red light therapy, methylene blue, exercise protocols, fasting protocols, and the sequence in which these therapies should be introduced. We will look at the exact dosing used in trials, what the literature shows, where the evidence is growing, and what to avoid. If you are serious about practicing real longevity medicine, improving mitochondrial function is the foundation. Everything else builds on this. This is Adam Sewell, MD. I will see you in the next episode.